Thanks.
You bet.
Good morning. I am full of gratitude to be here with you all today, and you all online as well. Let me just soak that in for a minute, and all your beautiful faces. Thank you. So as you know, we're here today to talk about the sacred key of discipline and how that unleashes our inner freedom and joy. So I want you guys to pay real close attention, take some notes, because little did you know, after service in Sibley Hall, there's going to be a test. And those that fail and do not pass will face discipline's wrath. I'm glad you all are laughing. You right there, your face is like, I don't know, she brought the belt. What kind of place am I in right now? I'm just joking. There won't be a test, although life might test you as you leave the building today at some point. And I know that this talk today will give you some tools that will better prepare you for whatever life's test throws at you. And the belt was symbolic of the definition that I found. Then there's a few definitions that you will find if you look online or you go in the dictionary of what discipline means. But with the Oxford Dictionary, the top definition that you will find, it says, discipline is the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience. And that is prevalent in our communities and in our nation and around the world. You'll see it. In some places, you do something that breaks the rules, they might take your hand. In school, they tell kids 5 years old, sit still, don't move, pay attention, or you'll go to detention, or you can't go to recess. Don't speed, although that's a good rule to have, or you'll get a ticket. You can get your license revoked. You can go to jail. In our society, there are these punitive factors for disobeying laws and rules. However, what that's really saying is that there's cause and effect. You do something, and then there's a result. And the way that society has looked at it with this, you do something and there's a punishment. Or if you don't do this cause that I want you to do, you know, this law that's created by man, or if you're a parent, the parent or whoever, then there's a punishment as the effect. But that's a distortion. And Ernest Holmes says that is what we call an error thought. And what that means is any thought pattern that moves us away from the fundamental truth of spiritual abundance and love. He also goes to say in The Science of the Mind, every thought has a consequence, and every experience has a causative thought behind it. And so what I'm speaking to here about discipline is that collective, if you don't do this, then this happens. And the punishment isn't from some natural law of cause and effect. It's from some person saying that this is what I said to do and this is what we're not doing. Or even yourself. This is what I said I'm going to do. This is how I'm disciplining myself. And then you don't do it. And then the brain goes, see, man, why didn't you do that thing? You never do it. Why did you think you were going to do that? And and you start beating yourself up. And what I'm here today to do, and with this talk, what we're going to do is get some new definitions. Because the definition that society and us as a collective is holding of discipline is off. So let's get some new definitions. So first we're going to define what freedom, joy, and discipline are so we're on the same page. And then I'm going to tell you some secrets of discipline that will build upon the definition, because A definition is just what? Words describing another word. So we're going to put some substance and some meat on those bones or on those words. And then finally, I'll give you some tools that, regardless of what life's tests are outside of this building, or if you forget and you need to remember, you can just pull these tools out and say, hey, I'm ready to get into that spiritual discipline again. I'm ready to step into that inner freedom again. I'm ready to step into that joy. So let's just begin by defining the words. Start with freedom. The definition of freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. I want to leave you with a question, because freedom comes with, it's like a double-edged sword, right? Without freedom, there is no oppression, right? Or without oppression, there is no freedom. But if you are free and never experienced oppression, you don't say, oh, I'm free. You'll say, I'm excited. I'm joyful. I'm blissful. I'm exuberant. If you've never experienced an oppression or something hindering you back, you don't know that there was something to be free from. So I ask you in your life, if you feel right now in any area of your life that you are not free, or that you could experience more freedom, what is it that you need to be free from? So just let that percolate as the rest of this talk goes on. Next is joy. I have some qualms with this definition, but we will work them out. The definition of joy is feeling great pleasure or happiness. My qualm is that happiness and joy are not the same thing. And according to Embark Behavioral Health, happiness is this fleeting external expression of an emotion. And joy is this lasting inner state that comes from feelings of connection and also purpose. And when they say connection, I like to expand on it. Not just connection to your family or your friends or who you're sitting next to, your neighbor. Connection to the divine. Connection to nature. Connection to animals. Connection to the one thing that unites us all. Connection to the unity in diversity. So no matter where you are, you're never alone. You are always connected. That's joy. Discipline. Now this one you might want to write down, even though you don't have to write down anything. But this definition is not out there anywhere. So you might want to write it down. And the definition, and I would like you guys to keep this in mind, is this. It's training ourselves to live in alignment with our capital S self or higher self and in accordance with love. And some people call love the divine. Some people say that all there is love. And then we forget by everything else that muddies it. So that's what those are the definitions we're gonna work with. Freedom, joy, and that new definition of discipline that calls us to be our highest selves and live in that seat of consciousness. So now, you guys ready for some secrets? Yeah. Perfect. So the first secret of discipline is that discipline is ancient. In this context that we're talking about here, the spiritual discipline, it's ancient. In Hindu philosophy and lots of other Eastern philosophies, there's a term called tapas. And no, I'm not talking about the appetizers that you can get at El Gato Azul, even though those are delicious. This word can be translated multiple ways, into austerity, into transformation, into self-discipline, into a burning of impurity. And you might ask, what is that burning of impurity? The ego, the senses, all of the things that get in the way of us remembering who we truly are, which is a divine expression of the divine, a unique expression of it. And so all those things get in the way, and these tapas, these self-disciplines, these austerities help us purify. And they say the burning because it doesn't always feel good. It doesn't always feel good. But this is the burning of the ego so that the true nature that it is wrapping and hiding can say, peekaboo, hello, true self is here, capital S. And then you're living that. And so it's a daily choice. It's a day-to-day choice to burn the non-supportive habits of the body, mind, and choosing to forsake momentary pleasures for long-term rewards. And tapas, there's a couple different practices that you can do. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, there is tapas of speech, tapas in action, tapas of the mind. And if you listen to or remember what the definition of freedom was, right? To think, to speak, to act as you want. I would say it's not too far off to infer that tapas is like the purifying of the thing that's actually binding us and hindering us from the freedom that we so seek and desire. The next secret is it's all an inside game. It doesn't matter if you're trying to do discipline as in, I need to eat better, I need to get healthy, get my A1C down. Or you want to run a marathon, so now you're practicing for that. It's an internal game because there's always going to be a part of ourselves when we say, I want to make a change, that says, no, I don't. Why would I want to do that? Everything's good just as it is right now, even if it's not. And then it comes a choice to feed which wolf? The wolf that says, I'm going to go down this lane of discipline because it's going to be beneficial, because it's going to move me closer to those things that Ernest Holmes says like are fundamental, that spiritual truth, the joy, all those things that the error thoughts get in the way of? Or are we going to feed, more of those error thoughts and our ego and the things that keep us where we are? And so a person that I admire a lot who really talked about this being an internal game, and this will tie it into joy, is Viktor Frankl. And while he was in concentration camp, he studied people. He studied people, and this is what he observed. He observed that those who survived the concentration camps were often able to cultivate a sense of meaning and spiritual freedom despite their suffering. He also observed, and this is a key component of the logotherapy that developed after he was free, that joy wasn't about the absence of suffering, but arose when individuals found meaning in their struggles. And I could say 100% that was what started me on, not that book, not Man's Search for Meaning, but the thought process of, why is this happening to me? Why me? To what am I learning from this? And then stepping out into life like it was my greatest teacher and being ready for the lessons. And that in itself was a discipline that cultivated a life of change, a life from darkness into light, for myself at least. And I know that it works. So that's a secret too. It's an internal game. The last secret is it's about love. Discipline is about love. It's not the tough love either that people say when they're like doing something that doesn't feel right to you and they're like, I'm doing it because I love you. No, it's not that type of love. It's a love that comes from, I truly want to be connected. I truly want to show up as love. I want to be around for my grandkids longer. I want to be a good friend. I want to show up. And so I ask you, how have you shown up for yourself? How have you shown up for others? How has your discipline aided that? Or how has your lack of discipline hindered that? I have a friend right now that's losing some weight because she wants to spend more time with her kids. And her kids have said, Mom, I don't know if you're going to be here at this rate. And they're nervous. And that was the wake-up call that she needed, because she loves them. And she wants to be around for them. And she wants to see her grandchildren if she has them in the future. So it's just about love. Love for self, love for our highest nature. And so, let's get to the tools. First tool, take some inventory. Inventory where you're at right now in all the areas of your life. And if you are living in alignment with your highest self and in accordance with love, how would you show up in those areas? Journal that. Be honest. Nobody's going to see it but you. Be honest. And then you'll know where the journey begins. The second tool is concentration, but you guys might know it better as meditation. So concentrate. Practice stilling the mind and being one-pointed, whether it's a mantra, whether it's your breath, whether it's a point in the room. And don't just practice on a mat. Practice, next to an anthill and let the ants crawl on you and see how that goes. Practice, listen to some music that you absolutely hate while you're meditating. Because if you can be still and have equanimity of the mind in any situation, then you can maintain that inner freedom and in that inner joy that nobody can take. Like those people in the concentration camps, that nobody could take their inner freedom. And finally, consistency. This is a practice. Find ways to practice every day. And I only had a 20-minute speech, so I can't tell you all kinds of tools, but there are tools out there, and and Science of the Mind has so many tools. And any spiritual text has so many tools that you can use to cultivate this spiritual discipline and resiliency on the inside that gets you closer to your living and being from your true self. And so find those things. Meditate on those things. And when you're meditating on them, and when you're living them, live them each day. Bring them into your life. Invite them every single day. Make it a practice. And don't stop, even when you master it. Ray Charles was asked late in his career, do you practice before concerts anymore? And his response was, I practice scales every day. So the scales are in my fingers. And I'm going to butcher this, so I'm going to go here and finish that quote. So he could play anything at any time. He was always ready, but he was always practicing, even though he was a master. And so to wrap up, you have these new definitions. Remember them. You know the secrets and how they apply to those words, so they're not just words anymore. And now you have some tools to use. So use them. Build that resiliency up. Build the discipline. And drop the belt, because we know it's not that anymore. Thank you.